Like, we don't know the particulars, right? No. We don't know if this is like Elon Musk going in, firing half the staff and raising the price.
Hey, welcome to Super Social Club. I'm Jeremy.
This is Whiskey in the 6. I'm Rob.
Welcome to the Whisky Rant Podcast.
It's a little crusty.
It's frustrating.
And it's going to be a little bit of a rant.
I don't understand it. I don't know why.
Some sort of injustice.
Anyway, end rant.
Hello and welcome back to the Whisky Rant Podcast. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Rob.
And tonight, talking about a Texas distillery just bought out by the big giant DIAGEO Balcones, selling out to the conglomerate multinational giant.
Yeah, is that something that everybody wants to actually do when they start a new distillery? Like
get bought out by DIAGEO?
Get bought out by like a big corporation that's gonna like dump a boatload of cash on their driveway?
I mean, as a business perspective, I say yeah.
Right.
As an enthusiast making whiskey, I don't think so.
Yeah, okay, so let's
get the hot takes out of the way first. Okay,
yeah.
So brand new news, Diageo, the huge giant that owns Johnnie Walker plus a huge amount of Scotch whiskey brands and other whiskey brands.
Yeah.
One of the biggest probably owners of
Crown
whiskey.
Royal.
Crown Royal, yeah. I would say they're one of the big four. I'll throw up an infographic.
They gotta be the biggest.
I'll throw up an infographic here. This is a little out of date, but it shows you the umbrella of what Diageo owns. So much Scotch whiskey.
Yeah.
And so they bought out Balcones, one of the up-and-coming distilleries out of Texas. Mm-hmm. Really good stuff from what we've tried.
Yeah, so this is an OB right here that we're drinking to your right. This is the Texas Single Malt Whiskey Special Release, 53%. I believe it's only 2 years old. It doesn't say it on the actual bottle.
Yeah, so this is the Texas one, 53% ABV. Yeah, it does say the age statement. It should be like 18 months or something.
Yeah, you're right.
Does it say down
There's
here?
like a date or something. Anyway.
Though I have one, I think it's 18 months.
Okay. This was actually given to the channel by Peter White. And then I have an indie bottle, Archives. I believe this is 3 years old. So this is a little bit over 3 years old.
I've never tried that. I didn't even know that there was independent bottlings of Balcones.
Yeah. So this one, 62.9%. So almost 10% difference between the two. We'll get a chance to try both of these as we're talking. What better night to drink these than the day after Balcones is bought out by Diageo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so hot takes. I guess there's pros and cons of what this means. We don't really know the particulars. There's not much information about how much it sold for. It just says undisclosed amount of money. Obviously, it's going to be a large amount. This is one of the more popular up-and-comings. They won lots of awards for their whiskey in the past.
Absolutely. I'm thinking big money here.
Oh, yeah. There's no such thing as small money when it comes to alcohol companies nowadays.
No, and buying a distillery is... Just the distillery alone, is a ridiculous amount of money. Mm-hmm. When 40 Creek sold to Campari, they sold for like over $100 million or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but $128 million kind of like resonates with me for some reason.
And would you say reputable, like comparable in size as far as volume output's concerned?
Well, Campari owns a lot of companies as well. I think they own Appleton, if I'm not mistaken, a few others, but they're nowhere near as big as Diageo. Mm-hmm. I don't think so. I would think that Diageo put big money into this. I'm gonna say it's 200 mil plus.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. Who knows, right?
Good on them, man. Like, good on Balcones. They've been doing things really, really well for a long time. Whiskey Tube has been talking about them for a long time as well. Like, everybody in the U.S. talks about Balcones. We know, like, Whiskey Tribe loves Balcones. They're friends with the guys that own the distillery and stuff.
So, like, what would you say implications for this distillery? Like, we don't know the particulars, right? No. We don't know if this is, like... Elon Musk going in, firing half the staff and raising the price, or if this is, let's keep what makes Balcones great. We don't want to change anything, but we want to put our little Diageo distribution handle on it, and now we can pump your product up to where we sell all of our stuff, which might mean that we see this stuff not only in Canada, but Ontario as well.
Yeah, I mean, we get everything Diageo sells pretty much. Like, do we not? Like, I'm pretty sure we get everything. So I'm excited about this selfishly because
Me too.
that means we're going to get a lot more balcones.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the people of Texas and the people that are like passionate about balcones are not happy about this.
No, because you have this like, not so hidden gem producing really, really good whiskey at a very, very young age. And you have no idea the uncertainty of what's going to happen. You know, it's
Exactly.
like Diageo doesn't buy things for passion projects. They buy things to make money.
I mean, I will say this about Diageo. In the last few years, especially with like their single malts, they've been doing some cool things, right?
Yep.
But let's be honest, they're a huge conglomerate. What are they trying to do? They want to make more money. And obviously they see dollar signs when they see balcones, so get ahead of the game and buy them when they're still relatively affordable, I guess, for them.
I mean, what's happened when big companies buy distilleries? Like, look what happened with Glendronach, right? Like, what's happened with them? We went through this whole thing, or like, are they going to start to chill filter their whiskey and put it into new markets? Are they going to, water stuff down? The cask selections, it's like, it's not about making the best blend, it's about making the best blend that we can sell the most of.
Yeah, and that's... Glendronach is a great example because, like you just said, they removed the unchill filtration wording on the bottle. I don't know, is natural color still on the bottle?
Yeah, there's this whole thing about what was really happening there, and I feel like they haven't necessarily even stopped or started chill filtering yet.
No, and I don't think they will, but I think the whole reasoning for them taking that off is in case they have to, right? Like in case demand gets too high, they got to start like appealing to the... I don't know what the reason... I guess maybe it is to appeal to the Asian market a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right? What could... I guess the only thing I could see happening with Diageo and Balcones as far as like, how do you essentially make this a more like market friendly whiskey while you bring it down to 40% or 46%, right? You lower the ABV, you increase the amount of bottles you're getting out, therefore making more money.
Yeah, I mean, we can throw out a bunch of hypothetical, scenarios of what could possibly happen. We could see a new line of Balcones come out, something that's more mass-produced, something that's more palatable to the average whiskey drinker, something lower ABV. That could definitely happen. Not necessarily it's going to be a bad whiskey, but something that's further reaching, something that's more, palatable. Like this stuff, this is great. I absolutely love this. This is the single malt, right?
This is the OB, yeah. Yeah, it's really good. At 53, is it hot? I wouldn't say it's hot. It's like, you can tell it's a good ABV, but it's not like, hard to drink.
For something coming in at under 2 years old to be like, that's insane. That this is this age, and I think that's what a lot of people were so shocked about. Not just this distillery, but Texas whiskey in general, is how good their spirit was coming out of the casks at a super young age.
I think, I think you just actually maybe unintentionally nailed it. When Diageo looks at this company, they're like, these guys are pumping out great whiskey at 18 months. And so you're telling me if we ramp up production, we can every year and a half have a great whiskey and just continue to bang out whiskey after whiskey and literally supply the entire world if we ramp up production? Done, sold. We'll buy it, whatever it is, right? Like, and they probably, that's exactly what, what other company in the world are you getting as quick a turnover, unless it's tequila?
I agree. Yeah.
Right?
With whiskey, like, you're making whiskey that's really, really good in less than 2 years.
Yeah.
It's unheard of.
It's unheard of. And it's so profitable because of that, right? Like, if you're able to ramp up production and double, triple, quadruple production, that's just money in your pocket, because the whiskey's not going to age any differently. As long as you keep the same recipe, you keep the same kind of format going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the thing. And like, I'm sure a lot of our listeners will have a hot take on this too, and maybe even have some insightful information of what they think could happen. Because the information that we're provided right now, just a very early stage of this, we don't really know.
Pretty limited.
We don't know what their plan is.
No, we don't. And the other thing is, we're not super versed with balcones either. Like
It's not sold up here.
It's not sold here.
It's not sold up here.
These two are 2 of 4 balcones I've ever tried in my life. You know what I mean? Like, I've only ever tried 2 other balcones other than these 2. So I've liked everything I've tried from them, but I don't know a whole lot about their distillate or anything else.
I mean, best case scenario of this acquisition is we get more great balcones, more widely available in different markets, and the outreach is there while keeping quality the same. Worst case scenario, they completely bastardize it, water it down to where it's not the same anymore.
Yeah.
And take. I don't think that's going to happen, because I don't think that this distillery has the brand recognition like GlenDronach already does. Like Billy Walker built up that brand.
True.
With that core range that was way older than the age statement was.
Yeah. And
built that up over 10, 12-ish years. And then it got the brand recognition. This doesn't have that yet.
Do you know when Balcones was like started? Like, how old is this distillery? Because, like you just said, GlenDronach had stock that was, up to probably 30 years old when Billy Walker took it over, if not older, right? Like, they had old stock. It was a very old distillery, maybe way older than 30 years old. What am I saying? So he was able, Billy Walker, to put aside an enormous amount of 12-year-old whiskey, 15-year-old whiskey, 18-year-old whiskey, 21-year-old whiskey the first year he took over, and say, like, these are the barrels that we're going to use for the 12-year-old, and that's not going to change. We're just going to use these barrels, and then these are the barrels we're going to use for the 15-year-old, and that's not going to change. We're just going to use these barrels until we run out of them.
Yeah.
And it created a beast. Like, for a very long time, GlenDronach was a force to be reckoned with, right?
Balcones was founded in 2008 and began distilling in 2009. And then in 2015, they moved to a new location where they can produce approximately 350,000 liters per year.
350,000 liters per year.
Yeah. So for comparison, like Springbank Distillery does 750,000 liters per year. So they're half the size of Springbank, which is still quite large.
Yeah. Although I will say that Springbank is one of probably the smaller outputting distilleries in Scotland.
Sure, as far as like distilleries are concerned,
Yeah.
350,000 liters isn't that much.
Wait, how much did you say Springbank did?
750,000.
750,000.
Yeah. So it's Balcones is less than half of Springbank.
Right.
And Springbank is one of the smaller Scottish distilleries.
Yeah, and maybe, like I said, that's kind of Diageo's intention, right? They're gonna come in there, they're gonna ramp up production to triple, quadruple the amount, so they can supply the demand and have a turnover of a year and a half, and laugh their way to the bank every year and a half. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, what's next? Like, if if Diageo's looking into the Texas whiskey market, there's a couple really good Texas distilleries down there.
Yeah, they're getting more and more popular, and it makes a lot of sense. Like, they have a lot of. It's in their eyes, it's almost like a distillery nightmare because their angel share is absurd, but the rate at which their whiskey ages, because of the heat, the dry climate, all the factors, it makes for a great tasting whiskey.
Yeah.
Now, have you noticed and tasted the?
Yeah.
Quite oaky, right? Like, that's only just over 3 years of maturation. It noses like a 15-year-old bourbon, right? Like,
as far as the oak level is concerned,
yes.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
It noses like this reminds me on the nose of the Cavalon Virgin Oak, which was what, 12 and 13 years old.
right.
And that's a subtropical climate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's nice. That's really nice in the nose. Both these whiskeys are good. I mean, the viscosity in the mouthfeel of these is maxed out.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can't get a more velvety mouth coating feel from a whiskey. This is right up there.
The tropical fruit that you get on the palate of this Balcones independent bottle is absurd. It reminds me, like, if you close your eyes, it takes me back to that first sip of like the Springbank Virgin, or not, the Cavalon Virgin Oak.
Yeah.
13-year-old.
Like, here's the thing that I think that Balcones is doing. One, they're sourcing very good malt for their whiskey, and two, they're sourcing very good wood. Now, I know that there's a barrel shortage
Yeah.
for new oak.
Yep.
So ramping up production while keeping their wood quality the same is going to be very challenging. Now, Diageo does have lots of connections, I'm sure.
Right.
If anyone can do it, they probably can.
Do these state that they're virgin oak though?
No, I just assumed that they were.
Yeah, right? Because it doesn't have to be, because it's a single malt. It's not a bourbon,
It's true.
right?
Regardless if it's virgin or not, I can tell that it's very good wood.
Yeah, no, this tastes like it's virgin oak for sure.
Yeah.
This is probably virgin oak.
To get that tropical fruit,
Yeah,
I
this
would
actually says
assume-
it. American virgin oak, heavy toast, medium char, cast for over 3 years. So, not exactly sure how. Maybe I am sure how long. It's distilled in December 21st, 2017, and bottled March 23rd, 2021. So.
this is good stuff, man.
It's 3 months older than 3 years. So 3 years and 3 months. Yeah, I really like that. You sell droppers on your website. I have one of your droppers somewhere here.
I'm trying to pour water
You're using
very delicately.
You're using a drinking glass. I'm using a water bottle.
But I mean, I think if there's any whiskey you can play around with water, it's these.
Well, 63%. And don't get me wrong, they're pretty hot. Like they're not like light drinking whiskeys. These are not an everyday sip or pour and play.
This is
kind
not
of
an
whiskey.
everyday pouring whiskey. It's not a beginner's whiskey.
No, it's not a beginner's whiskey. It's heavily charred. This one would go fantastic with a cigar.
It's very, very bold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic with a cigar. It would definitely stand up to the weather and the smoke.
True. Yeah, you could definitely smoke any cigar with this, and it would complement even the strongest of cigars, the most full body stuff you can find.
Yeah. With water, it's so much less heat. That tropical like mango kind of note is definitely still there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's very mango, pineapple, like grilled pineapple.
Yeah, grilled pineapple. It reminds me so much of that Cavalon Virgin Oak. Now, obviously, the Cavalon Virgin Oak, I would say, edges this out because of the heat levels. Like, the Cavalon Virgin Oak wasn't as hot on the palate,
I agree.
right?
Yeah, and because it wasn't as hot, you got more complexity throughout the whole experience.
Yeah. I think what Balcones needs to do, Diageo needs to do, is age their whiskey in Balcones for, like, in Texas for, like, a year and a half. Then ship the barrels to, like, northern US, to one of their distilleries up there, and let it, like, sit the rest of its maturation up there and have, like, a normal, angel share and lifespan in the barrel.
And then bring it back to Texas for a couple months. I mean, yeah, that would be, like, those experiences would be so cool, right?
That I would wonder,
Because
like,
you have a cast from, like, breathing so much to, like, being so tight.
yeah, I think that would really benefit this whiskey, because Texas, and I've heard
You can't long age stuff like this in Texas.
no.
I feel like it would.
You'll lose it.
It
It's
wouldn't
dust.
work out, right?
It's dust after like 5 years.
Yeah.
And I've heard Daniel from Whiskey Tribe complain about that a few times. Like they have a tough time finding the right balance. They almost like have to seek out very tired casks in order for them not to get that wood interaction and that angel share, right?
Yeah.
So and that heavy oak, right? I mean, after 3 years, like I said, that's like a 15 to 18-year-old bourbon as far as oak levels.
You're right. Yeah, and I mean, like, you probably can't put this thing, like, 10 years old, good luck. Like, no chance.
No.
Right? So, like, you're missing out on that, like, what makes Scotch whiskey so good is that long, slow maturation in a cask with, like, what just refines it so nicely. This stuff, it's never going to be that, like, that refined flavor. It's going to be more bold and intense.
Yeah. But delicious in its own right.
Yeah.
Though. Like, with water, that's very good whiskey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Very
and
good.
just over 3 years.
Yeah.
So I'm not like, this is the thing, is like Diageo did their homework. They're not stupid. The distilleries that they own, Scotch alone, which one don't you like? Like, do you dislike any of those distilleries? Like, would you, you know, I wouldn't balk at any of those distilleries if I walked into them and like did a barrel pull out of them. They're all fantastic. You know what I mean? Like, there's maybe a couple that I'm not a big fan of their core range whiskeys, but like every year when they put out the special release, all of those whiskeys are fantastic for the most part. You know what I mean? Or at least above average. Crown Royal could be doing a lot more with that. I think that's one of their biggest misses. I think they don't realize what they have in Crown Royal, and I think it's probably because they make far too much money with Crown Royal because it's on every bar across the entire planet.
It's like a well-oiled machine, right? It's just like that distillery's been going on making the exact same thing really forever, with a few little outliers here and there, but like for the most part, it just, you know, produces the nice little velvet bag whiskeys.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again.
There was a time where they were pumping out some pretty cool things, and it slowed down. And I really hope that, I think, like, why doesn't Diageo throw non-Scotch whiskeys into this cask strength special release every year? Do that with Crown Royal. Do that with Balcones. Do that with some of the other stuff that they own. You know, I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, exactly, right? Expand that special release just from your Scotch to other things too.
Start with Crown. They have no idea. If they put out 3 special release Crowns a year, cask strength, those would do so well and people have no idea. Like, the quality of whiskey in Crown Royal that's not being properly managed is a travesty.
It really is, because we know that there's good whiskey in that warehouse, but like it never gets showcased, or if it does get showcased, it's not presented the right way. You know, it's taken down to an ABV that's, you know, too watery, or it's put in a market where we can't even buy it. But yeah, I mean, this could be the beginning of something huge.
I think so.
For them, you know.
I think this was a smart purchase. I think it was well calculated. I don't think these guys make mistakes. They have too many intelligent people at the helm, but I do wish they would do something better with Crown Royal.
Yeah.
I think they can be a little smarter with that distillery. But that being said, this is a great distillery.
Yeah.
What would you give that first one here?
I might have scored one of these before.
Have you?
Yeah.
I've never scored this.
And I would say it's like 87, 88 for me, maybe 88.
Yeah.
It's definitely a recommended buy, 100%.
Yeah, so I found that this wasn't very hot at all.
Yeah.
I would say that this, I think I'm right there with you, 87-ish, right? For the OB. I really like this. I think this is delicious. With water, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It does need water, though.
I think they both need a little bit of water.
A little bit of water will help both. The OB, so just kind of like a measure of what Balcones can do at 3 years old, I'm going to say that that's probably like an 88 for me, maybe even an 89, right, with water.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, very good. And like just mind blowing how young they are and how much bold flavors, complexity,
Yeah.
enjoyment factor as a whole. And like it's not harsh whiskey. It's
No,
bold,
it's
for
bold.
sure, but it's not harsh.
No. And it's okay to be hot or whatever, like you when you're cask strength, because you can add water. When you're 46 and you're hot, that's not cool, because how much water can you possibly add to this whiskey now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the viscosity is going to still be there. The ABV is going to still be there. You add a little bit of water. Like, what do you bring it down? 5%? Who knows? Like, I don't know exactly. I'm not going to try to guess, but
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, really good.
I think it was the right choice. I think they made a really smart decision. Diageo, anyway. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Balcones made a smart decision too, because they probably walked away like bandits. Made some good money.
Yes, I'm sure they did. And hopefully, the people of this distillery get to keep doing what they want to do.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Like, I'm sure there's some sort of non-disclosure. Like you can't come up with like this exact same idea a block away and do the same kind of whiskey that you've been doing all these years and take all of our loyal customers or whatever. But I wouldn't be surprised if
I hope that the people at Balcones stay in place. I hope they keep producing whiskey. I hope this just gives them, another an outlet to expand and maybe do even more stuff that they always wanted to do. And now they have the backing of one of the biggest conglomerates in the world.
Yeah.
And I hope all the best for them, because we do really like this stuff and we want to see it in our market. And I think Diageo can 100% provide that distribution for them, which is really interesting and cool for us.
It seems like big conglomerates really like each other anyway. Like, we've talked about this before on the channel. LCBO and Diageo get along very nicely.
It's one of the benefits of the LCBO, one of the only good things.
One of the only good things is that we get Diageo products at a better price than most places,
Yeah,
right? Because like,
for the most part.
yeah, well, better than the rest of Canada. Because Alberta charges a lot more for the Diageo
Like the special
Scotch
releases.
special releases than
Yeah.
we do,
Yeah.
right? So that's interesting to me.
Well, that's because of the LCBO pricing model, I think, right? They don't like jack up prices because of demand.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like, oh, this whiskey's popular. Let's charge an extra $20 for it.
Right? No, they don't
do that.
No.
They don't even know what's popular,
No.
so they couldn't do it if they wanted to. They take random bottles that aren't popular, and be like, we should charge more for this. No one's buying it, jack the price.
Are we bringing back the...
Oh, let's bring back the LCBO ticker. What's it going up to this time?
Can we start it over? Can we start today at like -1?
-1?
Well, how's it work?
That's good.
That's good?
That's
okay,
good for them.
+1 then.
Okay.
+1 for stupid prices.
Okay, it's back.
It's back.
LCBO ticker is back.
The LCBO ticker is back. We should start at the rate that prices are increasing globally. We need to start like a global price of whiskey ticker soon.
Yeah.
Right? Someone told me the other day in one of the comments, he's like, I don't know where you're getting Springbank 15 at $150 or less. He's like, over here in the US, we're paying like $220 a bottle retail. I'm like, what is happening right now? Like, that's not what Springbank is charging these stores to, like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, a guy actually commented on my Springbank 17 Madeira and was like, yeah, I bought this for 170 and now I see it for 800.
Yeah, it's absurd.
I'm like, yeah.
That bottle's gone up to like,
Way
I
she
think
goes.
900 and something dollars. Yeah.
Yeah, way she goes.
Yeah. Springbank's stupid.
We should talk about the online Scotch Whisky Awards, because by the
Yes.
time this comes out,
It will already have happened.
it would have happened. It's happened on Saturday, I believe, right?
Saturday.
Saturday night, it happened. Maybe we'll do what we did last year and see if we can collect as many of the nominees for Whiskey of the Year as we can and try them out and see if we agree with whatever got voted as number one.
Yeah.
It's always a good show.
That'd be cool. I mean, it's getting hard to buy whiskey these days. I don't know if you're feeling the pinch. I definitely am.
Man, I don't know.
Like, I can't complain, obviously. You look behind me, I have a a ton to review still, but like just the words, like tracking them down, like that you just used right now, scared
this is
me.
what's happened is like the fun of whiskey has been muted because of the way that it is right now.
Yeah, the
market is just
the global economy is not great.
It's like we have to spend so much money for whiskey now, and you know, have to get even more lucky in lottos, and we can't buy secondary like we used to.
And everything's a lotto now.
Yeah, and it's like it's just the majority of whiskey, like all the good stuff you can't find, you can't get. If you want to, you're spending way more than it's even worth. So like a whole bunch of the fun of the hobby has been taken right out from under us.
That's right.
You know? It's unfortunate.
Yep.
But I don't know, we'll just keep making parody movies. People seem
We'll
to
entertain ourselves.
We'll entertain ourselves.
We'll entertain ourselves. And whoever wants to jump along.
We're filmmakers and actors now, so we'll just do that. People love it.
Filmmakers, actors, musicians, what else? We'll figure it all out.
If you haven't seen our Halloween parody, 100% check it out. We spent so much time.
There's a lot of time.
So much effort into doing that this year.
You spent a lot of time.
I honestly,
Just
and I've said
editing.
this before, like I didn't think that this was going to happen. Remember on our cigar chat with Mike and Narby?
Yeah.
I'm like, I might not be able to do it.
Yeah.
Because like I wanted to do it the way I saw it in my head, kind of, and I'm like, how am I going to do these shots? How am I going to find the locations? How am I going to get into a freezer? Like, no one's going to let me go into their freezer. And then it all just kind of came together. Like, you were awesome. Steve was awesome. You guys, we had a small window to get everything done, and we did it.
Yeah.
The weather that one day on the shoot out in the field was perfect.
Yeah, it worked out
so
well.
it just worked out. It just worked
did.
out. And like, yeah, I put a lot of time into organizing all of that, writing the script, buying equipment for it. I was stressed out, man. I was freaking stressed out. I'm like, I'm not gonna have a Halloween video this year. Like, it's just like, it's not gonna happen. There's no way it's gonna happen.
What are we doing next year? That's what I don't know.
I don't know, man. It's like
Like a Dawn of
gotta
the
start
Dead
playing,
or
right?
like something like
I don't know. Like the thing about like doing these spoofs is like you have to think about how are you gonna shoot them, who's gonna be in it. Because like before, I've just like it's been pretty much myself.
Yeah.
Right, and I've just like played multiple characters or whatever.
Yeah.
Got my brother to do it or whatever, and you and Steve. But like, yeah, we got to figure it out. I mean, Seven was like one of my favorite movies of all time.
Same.
I think I would love to do like an American Psycho
That'd be cool.
version of it. I've already like started thinking about some hilarious scenes that I could incorporate into whiskey. You remember
I need
the
to go
famous?
back and watch that movie.
Okay, go back and watch it. You know, like the famous business card scene where they're all showing each other their business cards and they're
Yes.
all essentially identical.
Yeah.
And like Patrick Bateman just like freaks out because he sees one that's better than his. Do that, but with whiskey coins. It's like, let me see Aquavite's whiskey coin. And you just hold it up and you're just like, oh my God. So like, those are the things that are going off in my head right now. So like, I would love to do maybe American Psycho at
That'd
some
be good.
point in time because I love that movie. It's one of my all-time favorite movies.
That'd be really cool.
But it's just like, how much more can I make fun of the bourbon junkies on? Like how many times can I make fun of long pouring and flipping bottles in the air and whatever. But yeah, I mean, we have a gold standard of Halloween videos now.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got to keep pushing it, keep pushing the envelope more and more and more and more.
We can, child actors is a thing. We can like do like Lost Boys or something.
Man, I mean, as long as you can incorporate some comedy and some whiskey into a thing, I think people are gonna like it.
Absolutely.
So,
No, honestly, you do a great job with those every year. So this year, I think definitely set the bar though.
Oh, man, it was very ambitious. But Steve, like, I mean, what a freaking amazing actor this guy turned out to be. I had no idea. Because, like, the way that I film stuff, I just essentially, like, it's a one shot.
Yeah.
We don't, like, try to, like, be an actor and,
Right.
like, make a scene.
Yeah,
It's a one shot. And you'll see from the blooper episode, if you haven't checked it out, Patreon only, it's very difficult. So, like, we essentially just, like, feed you the line, you say it back to me, and go to the next one.
Yeah.
But this guy's freaking memorizing his lines. He's like, oh yeah, I recorded myself saying it, and then I listened back to it so I could. I'm like, whoa, dude, you're like method right now. This is crazy.
Yeah, no, Steve. Well, he took like acting lessons in school or something.
I mean, it showed. He had a huge performance, and like, yeah, he had all the monologues, right? Like, he had the most difficult lines, and he crushed it. Absolutely crushed it.
If you guys are wondering who we're talking about 6 Gin and Rock and Roll Monty. That guy doesn't do anything half-assed. He does everything full tilt, like, you know, full crank.
Yeah.
That's just his way.
And
So-
like, the music that you guys are making together is amazing, and we should link it down to it in this as well.
You know,
So if you haven't checked that out, you should check it out.
It's been fun. It's been fun. I don't know. I mean, I like it, but obviously there's a bias there.
I like it because it's like that genre of music that I like grew up listening to. It sounds like it's like old school alternative grunge, kind of like,
That's the goal.
you know, like Tea Party. Like that
Yeah.
band came to mind when I heard that one song. I'm like, yeah, you guys are killing it. This is great.
It's
really,
you know,
really good.
that's exactly what the intention was when we started. We want to kind of relive that music that we loved growing up. It's not for everybody, so we'll see what happens with it. I mean, we don't have any expectations. We're just having a lot of fun, so we'll see what happens.
And that's always the best recipe to make good stuff, you know? And yeah, I mean, like, Steve is super talented, and killed it. Absolutely killed it. And,
Absolutely.
like, the performance he gave was so good.
Yeah, absolutely. He a couple of those moments, I'm like, wow, man, I'm
I know,
sold.
right?
I'm sold.
Yeah.
That felt
Like,
real.
he didn't really make any of the outtakes on the outtake thing because he nailed everything.
Yeah.
There was no outtakes. There was no time where we started laughing because he just crushed it. He was he was in the moment
so
and killed it.
Yeah. He was
so
filming
good.
the outtakes, actually.
Right, yeah.
'Cause
He
it
was,
was us.
yeah, we were the ones fucking up and laughing at each other the whole time.
That's funny.
So yeah, check those out. Obviously, if you haven't, I'm sure you have.
You gonna score that one?
Yeah, I think it's the same score for me. I think these are both 88s. I mean, you get some really good tropical fruits with this, but I think this one just drinks better overall.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, this is more of a pour and play, but not necessarily a pour and play. This one, you need some time. It needs to be in the glass for a while. You need water to really enjoy it.
For sure.
But both very good.
For sure. All right, well, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for tuning in. Let us know down below if you've had Balcones. What do you think about this acquisition by Diageo? Pros and cons. Do you think it's good for the distillery? Do you think it's going to absolutely destroy it? Let us know.
Yeah.
We're hoping for the best, and we're hoping that Diageo can distribute some of this stuff up in area because we love to try more of this stuff because we love it for sure.
I think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right, well, thanks so much for watching and listening, guys. Have a good one.
Cheers.
Cheers.